Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another VOD review. Today I'll be jumping in Project PB game with Dpei. However, before we begin the analysis, there is going to be a Project Citadel 4v4 tournament hosted over the weekend with some notable names playing there. For example, Robin Songs and Broseph. So please let me know down below if you'd be interested in some VOD reviews from games from there. Now, we are starting out with a Diana drop and we picked up the Leona as well. Now, a thing here to note is that he already has opted to slot in the Arbiter. A thing here would be to, in my opinion, better to note what components we drop if we have a possibility of playing for the Diana reroll. Because as we look here, we have our Arbiter choices offering to either gain attack speed, which should be good for both, but would also be great for LeBlanc. However, if we have this early Diana, we could be picking the permanent max HP scaling if we knew that we're going to have the components and a spot to be playing for. So sometimes holding on to these Arbiters until 2-1 is going to be worthwhile, as they do not get these bonuses during PvE rounds. But let's see what Dpei opts to gain. Also, spending mana now has the similar kind of options. And it seems that he's debating the same thing. We do get a cloak here, so I guess we could gamble, but you would really be wanting something like a bow to be playing for the Diana. So he opts to just go for the generic option of gaining HP. Gaining attack speed. That should be fine. Going to work quite well also for Diana, as she is an attack speed scaler. Now, we do get lucky, we do get a BT, but we do not have any bows inside, therefore coming off on our augment choice. If we wanted to be playing into this Diana reroll, we would be looking for something that potentially could give us some kind of items or a reroll enabling augment. Patience study is an option to do so, however, this would be great if we had the anima opener. The Anima is generally now being played with in the anima reroll. Instead, we could be going with Portable Forge. There are some decent artifacts for Diana, such as, for example, Seeker's Arm Guard. It's quite good on her. Bodyguard Training would be something that we will be more playing in the comp that we can push levels with generally, as its value has been nerfed a little bit and is not as strong on lower levels. Warlord's Honor, if we had stacking. Now, Speedy Double Kill also seems a nice option. If we're able to tempo from here with the Rageblade and the BT, we could be securing the top 2 and then, for example, push levels with it or finish one of our 3 stars. And here, the max HP stacking would have been quite nice for ourselves. For those who don't know, Little Buddy Bot has just released the full Arbiter choice list. If we just quickly pause the VOD here and pull that up for ourselves. If we just go in the PB tables and go for Arbiter choices, we have all the options available here and how they scale with 3 Arbiter. And you can just make note that study this table if you want. They have some really nice tables and generally a good site to be used for studying. But let's just back into the game. And it seems that we're going to be playing for this plan. Now with Speedy Double Kill, you definitely want to be tempoing if you can. And it seems that we might be trying a little bit. Now we managed to get through the Kai'Sa Challenger. Kai'Sa didn't manage to exactly put that much of a contest for ourselves. We also opted to level, which, if you're unable to string together a little bit of a streak, it can be a very rough spot for 3-cost reroll. Players often underestimate how much gold the 3-cost reroll really costs for you. If you're playing from a loose streak spot, you generally want it to be going for some form of a 1-cost or 2-cost reroll in that kind of scenario. Otherwise, you have to be playing for maybe a level 8 bailout board, but it has a potential to win out, obviously, synergizing depending on your augments. And going up against this solo leveling, Briar seems to be one of the stronger ones, especially with a BT still. I already said that they have a 1-cost Briar. She seems to be quite strong with that solo leveling augment with the Briar too, and we do unfortunately lose around there. And now we would probably have to be giving up one of our units to make 10 unless we're able to get a win. Which obviously we still hope would be the case. Also, him holding here on the Briar opens up a possibility for us to be playing into Anima, but unfortunately we have not seen any of the units yet. If you do get a Aurora or a Illaoi orb drop, then that is something that you can be considering playing around. Up on our choices, though, we get offered from Kayle ideally immediately the Titan, so we're just going to be picking that. Thing to note about Kayle. Kayle wants to be played also from a tempo spot, right? You're gaining item advantage over the lobby, especially over the players who have picked the other god, so you want to be accelerating your slams when picking up the Kayle. And she generally works in quite well in these comps where you want to be having 2 carries online in stage 4. And all these reroll comps definitely can, most of them at least, can use 2 carries. Therefore, if you don't have the Warriors game, you can definitely be seeking the Gale option for yourself. Going to be slotting in the 3 Arbiter, as that's going to make our strongest board there. Now the Rust does not provide that much value, but is simply going to be a nice frontliner to be slotted in since we have not hit any of our upgrades yet. Just simply trying to make the strongest board. Now we see that there's an Anima player there. Now hopefully they're not going to be playing into that reroll. Still debatable. Last set, for example, when you picked Ishtal Expeditionist, you want to be playing for a fast 8 board, but that obviously scaled off since you had the Brock. Now you would be gambling for finding the Fiora, and generally a level 8 board, as there were so many ways you could cap it and go for a win out rather than the reroll, unless you hit specific quests and high roll your copies. But obviously that was because that was a 2-cost reroll. With a 3-cost reroll, you can still generally sack to the stage 3 neutrals with that extra HP you get the big cash out, generally aiming for something like a 300 or 400. Anima cash out tables also are on the little buddy bot site, and there is a cash out, I believe, at the perhaps a 400 or 500 mark that gives you 6 dupes. That makes this comp very, very strong, as you're able to hit very early, send it on something like a 4-2, and screws out from there, cap around LeBlanc 2, and maybe if you make it to 9, Morgana fits this board quite nicely as well, providing that extra durability for the rest of your team. Now we have picked up a Jinx, so our plan is to potentially navigate some way into the Anima, gaining a little bit less of a cash out. Now obviously still trying to play for that tempo here, going to be making the Adaptive Helm Slam, trying to position Diana so that she's able to hit many of the units, but we have a solo frontliner there, and she's going to be quite fine. The thing to note with Diana, you want to be maximizing the damage that her stars are doing around the units, so frontlining her rather than keeping safe in the backline is a valuable choice. Up on our next augment selection. Now, if we wanted to spike our board earlier, we could be going for something like a gold augment. Since we're rerolling, 21 gold is going to be a little bit more valuable than slamming, especially since slamming doesn't give you an item at right now. But if you want to be tempoing, always on stage 3 also, just as in stage 2, items are going to be quite strong. And this could, since we are fully itemized carry items, we should be focusing now on trying to itemize a tank so that this Diana can pop up. Therefore, Spirit Wizard is quite nice, providing her a little bit durability. But he does not seem to agree. He seems to value that he wants some gold at this spot, and he seems to be preferring slamming, which is an interesting choice at this, in my opinion, as whenever I've taken a slamming in the reroll comp, I've not found that much success, but we find Trifecta is this is quite nice of an augment for this comp, as it's going to be running 3 costs, and we're able to get a little bit of a combat value right away, and Diana loves attack speed herself. Now, going to be queuing in a strong board now, so going to be losing with that Nami there. And now, this is generally when our 1-star 3 costs are going to be falling off. And we still have not managed to find Anima. This would be a great time to be slotting that in. If you wanted to just find maybe a 300, 200 cash out-ish. Obviously, Anima stacking with that loose streak you've gained, so it's going to be taking a little bit of a while to get there if we are just starting out now. But we are going to be putting up a fight, and this Diana has managed to scale quite well, so we might be able to still pick up a win. So that's very nice for us to be able to hopefully gain more loyalty with a speedy double kill. And now, up on our next god selection, we have taken items at the moment, as the speedy double kill is considered an item augment. Therefore, actually, gold should be quite appealing, especially if we're able to get a little bit of an extra gold. Hopefully able to stabilize our board of that, and the slam here with the gargoyles would not be exactly what we're looking for, but now we have a open glove, so we could be just simply slamming a steadfast and keeping that cloak open. So it seems that's what he's going to be going for at the moment. Could also be considering Sunfire, just to sort that utility out for ourselves. And keeping the glove open as a potential AP component to be playing around. Seems that that's his actual plan. Just get the utility sorted out, and we can keep the open cloak for a potential spark as well. Now we see that the player there has opted to field in also has Aurora, has the Illaoi pair, and has a Victor. Victor is also another, this is a combination how you can be playing that, but we'll still have to keep tabs on them to see if they are going to be contesting that Thankfully, it does not seem that they're going to be playing into Diana, so we have a potential of hitting at least that unit. Now we're able to find finally our third anime unit, but we are on a win streak, so we definitely do not want to be making our ward weaker at the moment. I would assume. That's an interesting choice. Now, does he value this to be the strongest of the boards? Or we have just simply scouted our matchups and noted that we're not going to be winning anyhow, therefore we might as well start stacking our anima right now. That's a thing that we should be definitely taken in consideration. Able to find that Diana too naturally, so that's quite big. Also having this Roust upgrade is going to put together some form of frontline resemblance, but obviously going to be dropping him at some point when we're able to hit those units. Ra is generally a unit that you could be tossing in, especially when you are playing around these stronger bronze traits, in order just to provide some value for yourself in a mid game, and can be played quite flexibly. For our items, it seems that we might still be going for a Steadfast, keeping that cloak open in order to get a spark, and just going to slam a Rage Blade. Obviously not the best Aurora item, but if we're able to make it to LeBlanc too, this Rage Blade is going to be quite valuable. And also in this game, since we have not even picked up a single Aurora copy, we might as well just be playing for LeBlanc too. As well, obviously going to depend on our roll down, and we can see that we are quite poor on the gold, did not exactly manage to full streak into any form of a way. Therefore, we're going to be having to stabilize there. At least we have that HP lead, but this can shrink quite fast coming into this stage as people are rolling down. Misfits are not going to exactly fit this board. This is going to be more for your fast 9 boards. Healing Orbs would generally be the best option right now, trying to just get your frontline and Diana durability up. Explosive growth would be if we were pushing level 9 at this point. Therefore going to roll that. Now, we were in search obviously of some form of an econ augment given how low we were, and Heroic Grab Bag is the best thing we can hit. Especially since it was, I believe, last set when they added a little bit more of a gold influx on this augment. It became quite good. Now going to be digging here, we obviously would want to find that Illaoi 2 at least to get our frontline. We managed to find the LeBlanc, so we're able to suggestion here. Getting that Shepherd in that's going to provide a little bit more AP still to our team. Going to just transition items to this Leona, and hopefully we're able to pick up any form of wins. 3 cost 2-star tanks are quite good, however the damage dealers could be lacking, especially if there are some other players hitting hard. And whenever you're playing from these lower econ spots, you have to be asking yourself, is the rest of the lobby also poor? If the rest of the lobby is poor, okay, then we're fine. As generally we can play, especially on these rerolls, we can hit our 2 stars, then stop. Not have to dig continuously for potential 4 cost upgrades or whatever that you might be hitting. Have to evaluate how valuable the rolls are also going to be. But if you are poor and the rest of the lobby seems to be rich, then you're in troubles. Then you might have to be playing a little bit more aggressively and play for some potential high rolls. Now, IE here, the thing is, we made that Rage Blade, so we might be playing either around a Jinx 3 or a LeBlanc. Now, we want to sort out our Shred, therefore the Rod here seems appealing. Get some little bit of extra econ since we had to dip quite deep. We're still only at 40 gold. Get Illaoi offered for ourselves, so going to be picking that up. IE would be quite nice for the Jinx, but obviously sorting out this utility is going to provide net to get us more overall DPS. Going to be slamming that there on the Meepsy. Debate could be made if the Sunfire is a little bit better or the Spark. However, since we have the resist from the Adaptive Helm and we have quite a bit of armor, I believe he's going to be valuing that max HP that the Sunfire provides in order just to make the Illaoi more durable. Obviously, when you're talking about tanks, you have to be talking about effective HP, which is resist, durability, and HP stacking together to provide effective HP for your tank. We have the durability from Steadfast, we have the resist from the Adaptive Helm, therefore obviously a little bit of armor overlap, but the max HP from the Sunfire is just a little bit more valuable at this point. Going to be passing up on our anima option there, did not seem that exactly appealing, but we're not going to be exactly playing at a cash out. Generally, again, as mentioned, you wouldn't be cashing out 300 or 400 for this comp. But let's see how valuable this comp can still be if you are playing from a... This is a peculiar spot because we're getting quite low. And for our boon, we are on fully completed items, so we'll be ideally looking for even amount of components. But he's going to be consuming this to be sufficient. Obviously, we still had to roll quite deep here. and displaying the expensiveness of these level 7 rerolls. And going to be finding the... So we're going to be tempoing out to Illaoi. We do not want to be dropping to 1 life, and we had a nice item offered by the Kale boon, so we were just able to slam Archangels. Would work quite well for Aurora if we're able to get there. But now, since we have that Rageblade, he seems to be valuing LeBlanc 1 as a stronger carrier. Obviously, we also have that Arbiter buff that works quite well on the LeBlanc. If he had them stacking max HP, we could be considering here maybe perhaps the Aurora to be a little bit stronger option. Now that we have managed to hit our 3 stars, we should be a little bit stable, potentially make our recon back, but it seems like he keeps digging, so I would assume that, yeah, at this point, since we already sold the Aurora 2, we are digging here for the LeBlanc 2 on level 7 nodes. Sometimes you have to go for these gambles. We can see instead of just trying to stack up his HP, he's trying to roll aggressively, trying to secure any form of placements he can into what seems to be a TF reroll with the Constructed Companion, and we're able to lose there with the Radiant item TF. That comp is also one of the strong ones if you're able to get there on something like a Kalos. You have so many units you can itemize, the TF, the Talon, obviously, because the TG's there, and the Jax as well for your tank. Jax actually be like a very strong tank, especially if you're able to get the Crown Guard on this guy. That guy is quite strong. And this is interesting that he goes away from this frontline positioning. He's putting the Diana behind the Illaoi here. Now the thing that I personally do not like about this, we could see that the stars were only hitting a single unit. He's wanting to keep the Diana safe, but we have that Radiant BT, so she should be quite strong in itself. Now we get the gold influx from our speedy double kill. Going to be cashing this anima out. Again, thing to note that it seems that this anima does not proc during these fake carousel rounds now. Finally able to roll deep, and we were searching for that LeBlanc, so able to hit her, but we passed up so many Auroras along the way. That's a little bit of a shame. Able to nicely find a Gunblade, however, making our frontline even more durable, as our tank items are not exactly the strongest of the ones, but the Rogues drop there, but the Diana, this is just has fully scaled up, and this Radiant BT making her durable enough to able to be going in a 1v4 and secure us a top 4 for ourselves. And at this point, we're probably just, yeah, we have hold on to this mech unit that could be slotted in as a potential just a Voyager. Any form of Voyager unit we can be slotting in on level 8, or any kind of a Morgana, like as mentioned before. Quite strong of a unit if you're able to find her there. Now against the TF board, again, this is a very close fight, but now that we positioned the Diana in middle, able to get more effective value out from her, and had that Leona in front of their carries, we had managed to stall long enough for ourselves in order to ramp up and able to secure a win there. Still an uphill battle for ourselves into this spot, and since we have gotten the gold influx, we might be in a little bit of trouble against some players who have taken more items or combat. He also seems to be mapped out to Nunu. That could be something that, yeah, we would be giving up the Leona for Nunu too. Could be consideration. Probably would most likely depend on your Arbiter effect. Going to be transitioning more durability onto this Leona, valuing that to be a better stat for her. Also, she's able to get that mana there, so she's able to heal up from her casts in form of the Adaptive Helm. Right there. Able to find that Nunu too, so yeah, it seems like he's going to be... Is he considered... Yeah, he's dropping he is dropping the Leona and going to be slotting in Rust for now as a flex unit. Now that you've gotten to this board on level 7, you have quite a few traits, so Rust is going to get that value, provide us a little bit more attack speed that these LeBlanc and the Diana love. Into a what seems to be a fast 9 board with a Gravestone that's quite scary, but this Leona is actually incredibly tanky here, able to get the scaling again, enabled by that positioning, trying to get the tanks in front of your carries, and the Nunu stun coming in there, clutch as well, able to stall long enough for ourselves. That's why it could be that Nunu is quite strong, because if you're able to get to him, the value just from the extra attack speed from the Arbiter is not as much, but this Nunu stun is extremely strong into the late game CC, is absolute king in late game CC and AoE. And again, we're able to get on this backline, form this 1-cost reroll comp, and going to be perhaps going in the top 2. Yes, we're going to be in the top 2 against Jungle Book here for our last item. Could just be considering something for Aurora or a third item on Nunu. Going to evaluate that he wants some more frontline presence here and able to transition at Adaptive Helm on the new so that he's able to cast more. And just going to be hover scouting here, trying to get the again the main tank in front of their carries. Unfortunately, we're not able to make the last second position here, but Diana has managed to dash and get quite a lot of value there, able to tank through that Kindred there for quite some time, and the LeBlanc is able to clean up the fight for us. So it seems, yeah, that even without an Aurora 3, as long as you're able to get there to that LeBlanc, you're able to secure yourself very good placements in general, even without an extra real juice from the anima cash out, which is quite good to note that this comp is going to be quite consistent if you're able to pilot as well. Obviously, this Radiant BT has enabled us quite a lot, as the form of durability that this Diana absolutely loves, and we secure a win right there. Without too much trouble, let's just review the fight. Diana got in a quite good position to be able to gain a lot of value and able to just simply through this Radiant DT stall through that Yi for quite a while. This enables our Archangels to fully kick in, and we're able to secure a win with the LeBlanc cleanup. Good spot to recognition, but key takeaways to note from here. Hold on to Arbiters sometimes until 2-1. To note what your augment is, something like an econ option can be good. Otherwise, if you have the items to play for a reroll and with an orb drop, you should be considering max HP, as that's going to allow your Diana to be even more tankier. Otherwise, you could be playing for a fast 8 board as well. Playing on tempo, forgetting that speedy double kill cash out was significant. Identifying spots when to roll, that is what actually enables these reroll comps. It's not just mindlessly there sitting and rolling, and knowing when the lobby is spiked, when you should be spiking, and proving that this comp can be quite consistent and showing how to cap around it at level 8 quite well, dropping that Leona 4 in favor of Nunu, and slotting in the Rast, which obviously is going to provide even more frontline presence and attack speed that this board absolutely loves. And pretty much all its variations as well. Also, if you're playing around a Jinx tree, if you're able to chase that in our Giga Rich and have the AD items for it. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.